So last week, Supermicro Computer fell around 10%, but it's still looking like it's trying to form a medium-term uptrend. So in this video, we'll analyze last week's price action and look at the longer and medium-term trend. Give you an idea whether this stock is something you want to have a look at and maybe you add to your watch list. So last week, Supermicro Computer was down around about 10%, as you can see here with this red bar. In recent weeks, it has reversed and found short-term support around about this $27 level. And if we look at the medium-term price action from around about November 2024, we can see that Supermicro is trying to create a medium-term uptrend. We can see it found a base here at $17 after pulling back, pushed up to around $47, pulled back in February this year to find support at $25, pushed up once again, hit resistance around $66, and most recently has pulled back in April around about the $27 mark. And you'll notice that each time it has moved up, it has formed a higher base after each peak, which is reassuring. It shows there is support there and the stock is trying to make higher highs and higher lows. So this does indicate that Supermicro is trying to form a medium-term uptrend. And we can apply a trend line from this lower peak here across there, which does indicate that these peaks and troughs are moving up, confirming a medium-term uptrend. And if we look at the long-term picture for Supermicro on the monthly chart, we can see it has been trending up nicely since around October 2018. Really long and strong uptrend. And in July 2022, it broke away from that steady uptrend and really took off, creating the all-time high in March 24 of around $122. And since then, it has pulled back, coming into this significant low in November 2024 at the $17 level. Since that low, it has been trying to push up over the last 6 months, with the recent peak being around $67 formed in February this year. And since that peak, it has pulled back over the last 2 months. Now obviously April is yet to finish, but it looks as if price action will hold above this previous low here of around $25. And this is positive. This confirms that as each low is formed, it's higher than the last low, suggesting buyers are in control and price is steadily starting to move up. Of course, it's just a medium-term trend at the moment, not a long-term trend, so you have to be cautious. But it does look as if Supermicro is trying to move up. Now you'll see on screen I've marked up some key price levels. $17 here, which corresponds to that low in November 2024. $35, which corresponds to the price peak back in August 2023. And this is where price is sort of clustering at the moment. So I think moving forward, Supermicro needs to push above this key level of $35. And hopefully in April, it will get close to that. Right now, we've got a red bar in April showing that price has declined. Last week, it dropped 10%. But we'll see if April closes out and if this low holds above this previous low here. That'll be positive. It might even reverse. We might even see a pin bar here where actually the close starts to move up and price level is almost the same as the open. That would be a good indicator that May will be a strong month and price will start to move up again. And if we look at the price action, we can see in November, we had a big reversal bar following that $17 support level. Following that green bar, we had 2 reds, then another big green. And now we've got potentially 2 reds, March and April. So in theory, if it follows this pattern of 1 green, 2 reds, 1 green, 2 reds, then May potentially will be a strong up green bar. Of course, at the moment that's unconfirmed, but that's the way that the stock normally behaves. So where could Supermicro move to in the next few weeks? And should you consider buying in right now? What I'd like to see on the chart is for the last week in April to form a strong green up bar, to stay above this medium-term trend line, and close above this key level of $35. That would indicate that buyers are coming back in and trying to push the price back up again. So if we see a close above this key level of $35 in the last week of April, that's really positive. But you may wish to wait for the first couple of weeks in May to possibly take an entry. And that would be potentially somewhere around about $45 to $48. That would clear this price action here and get above this level here. After this, the next level of resistance would be this key $66 level. So you'd have some decent upside there in the short term. Then longer term, you'd need to see price take out this $66 level and push towards the all-time high of 122. So if we extend the trend line, what we might see is something like this on the chart. We've already got a significant trough here. We've had one peak, 2, 3, 4. Next peak should break this key level of 66. Potentially it'll pull back to the trend line, push off once again to potentially test the 122 level. I think probably it'll fall short. It'll probably get to around maybe $100, then look for support once again. And then maybe during October 2025, we'll see price move up and really test that level of $122. So you might see something like this unfold on the chart for Supermicro if it respects this trend line, which is unconfirmed at the moment. It is starting to form. It looks as if Supermicro is trying to move up and break this level of $66 first and then push on to challenge the all-time high in the next 6 months. So that's the upside potential if the medium-term trend unfolds. But what about the downside risk? What if Supermicro actually turns around and keeps falling? On the monthly chart, we can see we have this long-term trend line. In July 2022, that was when price pulled away from that longer-term trend and we had an accelerated trend line. Now, since March 24, that price has pulled back. That accelerated trend has broken and price has pulled back significantly. Last week, we lost 10%. In the month, we're down 23%. And in the last 6 months, Supermicro has fallen 34%. Year to date, it's almost at break even. So if price starts to fall, the obvious level of support is this $17 level where it was tested back in November 2024. Now, if price falls down and falls through this level of $17, then there's high probability that it might come back to the longer term trend line, which is around about $12 to $15. So we might have something like this unfold on the chart, where it breaks the medium-term trend, falls through that level of $17 and finds support on the longer-term trend line. That downside risk is possible, but I think overall, it looks as if right now, the way the price is unfolding, that Supermicro is actually moving up and forming a medium-term uptrend. However, it's unconfirmed yet. Be cautious, do your own research, and good luck. Thanks for watching.